Hey folks, this is Riker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. And since a lot of you will be busy tomorrow because of Christmas Eve, I'm releasing this week's video a day early. This week's topics include John Carmack quitting Meta with some scathing parting words, bridges burned, Epic Games having to pay $500 million in penalties, the best way to farm the Diablo 3 holiday event, and more. As always, discussion timestamps can be found in the description below, but right before you skip ahead, just a quick reminder to ring that sub notification bell to be alerted to new Saturday episodes and stay up to date with gaming news highlights. Before we move on, a quick word from this video's sponsor, Nord Threat Protection. Threat Protection is NordVPN's latest security solution. It blocks trackers, ads, and fake websites, prevents viruses, and protects you from malware. Even if you don't have your VPN enabled, Threat Protection is still constantly protecting you. All you have to do is enable the Threat Protection feature in your NordVPN app settings. Now, I don't know about you folks, but I'm getting a lot of emails getting past my spam filter lately, a lot of phishing attempts or scams, and sometimes I just don't know until I've opened up the email. And Threat Protection blocks malware from suspicious email attachments, websites, and ads. In fact, it stops malicious ads before they even get a chance to load, so faster loading times too. It'll scan any file before your computer downloads it, and if it identifies a threat, it'll block it before it can do any harm. And you can use Nord Threat Protection simultaneously on up to 6 devices. And if you're ever unsatisfied, Nord has a 30-day money-back guarantee. So, keep your devices safe from viruses, ransomware, and infected files. And when you use my link, nordvpn.com/RikerTP, you'll get a special deal. Go get it today at nordvpn.com/RHYKKERTP. Starting off with some quick Steam news, the winter sale is now live. Also, voting for the Steam Game Awards is live, so be sure to cast your vote. The old Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition is 70% off. One of the great RPGs of the early 2000s. I had a lot of good memories with that game. And Pathfinder Kingmaker is also 70% off. I feel like Neverwinter Nights Kingmaker is sort of a more modern version of it. Elden Ring is 30% off, God of War on PC 40% off, Cyberpunk is 50% off, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition 75% off, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition for PC 67% off. If you've been holding off on picking up any of these titles, these are some solid discounts. And if there's any games on sale that you folks recommend, sound off in the comments. In some quick Death Stranding news, the game is getting a film adaptation. Kojima Productions is partnering with Hammerstone Studios, most known for 2022's hit horror film Barbarian, which was pretty good, I saw it recently. Very well done. According to Deadline, the film will introduce new elements and characters within the Death Stranding universe. I think the Silent Hill film from ages ago was a really great adaptation of a horror game into film, and I'm hoping we can get that same weird, spooky energy for a Death Stranding film. In some Activision Blizzard news, the company's chief operating officer, Daniel Allegre, who has held that position since 2020 after being at Google for 16 years before that, well, he's going to be leaving Activision Blizzard to become the CEO of blockchain company Yuga Labs, the owners of the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT collection. We don't yet know who will replace Allegre, but he'll be staying on as COO until his term ends at the end of March. Activision Blizzard had allegedly spent $10 million to pull Allegre away from Google, and now he'll be leaving after about 3 years. Yuga Labs' next big project is a metaverse game called Otherside, being developed for PC and mobile. It's said to be an MMORPG with user-generated content, something of a mixture between Roblox and World of Warcraft, with crypto and NFTs somehow worked into the mix. There'll be tools in-game for players to create items and sell services in an economy powered by cryptocurrency. In other Activision Blizzard news, the company is looking to get AI to start helping fight online abuse. In an atmosphere where artists are protesting against AI that's using their artwork to generate artwork of its own, Activision Blizzard wants to use AI for the power of good instead. The company is collaborating with researchers at the California Institute of Technology to accomplish this as part of a 2-year project to detect harmful user behavior online. And this comes off the heels of a report by the Anti-Defamation League, an international non-governmental organization that specializes in civil rights law. Now, the report spoke about how harassment in online gaming has continued to rise, and this led to 2 US senators writing to major game companies about this report, basically asking, yo, what's up? Specifically, the report claimed that 77% of adult online multiplayer gamers have experienced harassment this year, which is a 6% rise from last year. And this is based on a sample size of 100 million American adult gamers. So the senators wrote to companies asking, what are you doing to combat harassment? What investments have you made to this effect? What are the sizes of your moderation teams? How do you punish harassment? And I imagine many of the companies are like, we gotta combat harassment? I thought we just make games. In other news, and this is a tie-in to the metaverse we were talking about just before, John Carmack, co-founder of id Software and programmer of the Doom engine, he had left id back in 2013 to work full-time at Oculus VR, and then Oculus VR was acquired by Facebook parent company Meta. Well, anyway, John Carmack is now leaving Oculus. Why? Well, he publicly said, quote, "We have a ridiculous amount of people and resources, but we constantly self-sabotage and squander effort. There's no way to sugarcoat this. I think our organization is operating at half the effectiveness that would make me happy. It has been a struggle for me. I have a voice at the highest levels here, so it feels like I should be able to move things, but I'm evidently not persuasive enough. A good fraction of the things I complain about eventually turn my way after a year or two passes and evidence piles up, but I have never been able to kill stupid things before they cause damage or set a direction and have a team actually stick to it." Damn. Now, in the last few years, Carmack has had a growing interest in AI, another tie-in there, so I expect that's what he's headed to focus on now. In some Epic Games news, the dev will need to pay over $500 million in penalties to settle charges laid out by the US Federal Trade Commission. The first charge for violating children's privacy laws, they have to pay $275 million, and for tricking users into making unwanted charges, they have to pay another $245 million. Allegedly, Epic relied on dark patterns to, quote, "dupe millions of players into making unintentional purchases." The dark patterns consisted of, quote, "counterintuitive, inconsistent, and confusing button configurations." That, combined with single button purchase options, would lead users to accidentally buy something when they were just trying to wake the game from sleep mode, or even accidentally tap on a loading screen, because somehow those buttons were still active on a loading screen. And they also put the preview button right next to the purchase button, and it's a instant purchase button. So the $245 million is meant to go towards customer refunds, which will be handled via a refund program that'll be set up by the FTC. As for the privacy violations, Epic is accused of collecting personal information from children under 13 years of age without parental consent or notification, and enabling voice and text chat for children and teens by default, and therefore subjecting them to harassment. Tie-in again. And then making it difficult to disable voice chat. Now, Epic allegedly had received over 1 million customer complaints. Even employees had been pushing for changes to some of these things since 2017, but Epic didn't really do anything about it. Probably figured they'd pocket the money in the meantime and knew they'd have to eventually pay the bill, but I doubt they thought it would be to the tune of over $500 million. In some World of Warcraft news, Chris Metzen has returned to Blizzard Entertainment to join the WoW team as a creative advisor. Metzen was with Blizzard since the start, eventually becoming the senior vice president of story and franchise development by the time he left Blizzard in 2019 to spend more time with his family. He had a major hand in shaping all of Blizzard's franchises, and he's the voice of Thrall. John Haidt, senior vice president and general manager of the Warcraft series, said, quote, "Chris's focus initially will be on World of Warcraft, then his work will expand to other projects across this growing franchise." Now note that he specified projects across this franchise, meaning Warcraft. Now again, Metzen, while he contributed tremendously to shaping the world and stories of all Blizzard games, including Diablo, it did seem like World of Warcraft was his favorite franchise. And I'm really underselling Metzen's contributions to Blizzard and his franchises, and that's because I'm trying not to gush. Growing up, Metzen was the guy I wanted to become. Before I even saw what he looked like, as a kid, I would just read the game manuals for StarCraft, Diablo, Warcraft. I'd see his artwork, I'd see his name in the credits. I had an idea of what he did at Blizzard, and that's just who I wanted to be when I grew up. So I was really sad when he left Blizzard. I knew BlizzCon would never be the same without him getting up on stage and giving one of his
"What up, BlizzCon? What up, BlizzCon?
I knew Blizzard would never be the same. He was one of the most important creative voices at the company. So his return amid lots of other Blizzard veterans leaving over the years is a cause for hope. In other World of Warcraft news, the devs have released a 2023 content roadmap, which confirms Orc and Human Heritage armor coming in spring next year. With this roadmap, Blizzard has publicly committed to 6 content patches throughout 2023, including 2 major patches that will each have a new zone and a new raid, which are looking to hit somewhere between spring and summer for the first batch, and sometime toward the end of the year for the second. Overall, it's a great time to be a Warcraft player right now. In some The Witcher 3 news, last week we spoke about the free next-gen update, and how it was resulting in some pretty terrible performance on PC. Well, the devs have since released a hotfix, which seems to have drastically improved the situation by making the game playable, but players are still reporting that they would not call it well optimized. The devs then released a second hotfix, and reports are a bit mixed on that one, whether it's helped or not. Overall, though, the game is definitely in a better place than it was last week. In some Diablo 3 news, as a reminder, the holiday event is ongoing until February 5th. Holiday gifts will be dropping, filled with a variety of goodies, including materials, but also some of the rarest cosmetics in the game, including the rarest of all, the Cosmic Wings. Now, Greater Rift Guardians have about a 50-50 chance of dropping a holiday gift, so doing speed Greater Rifts is a great way to farm up gifts. And if all you're looking for is the cosmetics and you don't care about XP or blood shards or all the other stuff you get from Greater Rifts, you can drop the GR level as low as you want to go. It won't affect the odds of getting a gift or the prize inside. However, another method, which lets you farm up gifts even faster, requires that you have ancient puzzle rings, or at least puzzle rings and the ability to make them ancient via the Season 28 Angelic Crucibles. So a lot of people by this point in the season, they have a bunch of puzzle rings saved up. So if that happens to be your case, and you happen to also have a bunch of Angelic Crucibles saved up, slam those bad boys onto the puzzle rings, make them ancient puzzle rings. Because then when you take an ancient puzzle ring and you put it into your cube and you hit transmute, that opens a portal to the Ancient Vault, which is just filled with goblins. And goblins have somewhere between a 5 and 10% chance to drop a holiday gift. So on average, one Ancient Vault will get you 1 or 2 gifts. Now, the odds of getting the Cosmic Wings is still low, so don't expect to get these instantly unless you're just a really lucky person. The estimate is about 1 in 1,000, so on average, you'll have to find 1,000 gifts before you get the Cosmic Wings. And again, that's on average. You could get it after 5, you can get it instantly, you could go thousands without getting them. But again, you have over a month to try. Now, we also mentioned last week that one of the things that you can get as a drop from gifts is the Sword of Mediocrity, and we weren't sure what that did at the time. Now we know it's a legendary sword that deals only 100 damage at a rate of 1 attack per second, and its legendary property sets all your primary attributes to 0. So this sword is completely useless to the vast majority of players, apart from its meme value. However, it is an exceptionally good item for testing purposes. That makes it just so much easier to be able to figure out where different damage modifiers are coming from and how they come together, because it's just stripping away so many of the extraneous factors that modify your damage. At the very least, it's something nice to hold on to as a novelty and a reminder of this holiday event. And to wrap up, in some quick Diablo 4 news, I recently put up my video about my interview with Diablo 4 game director Joe Shelley and Diablo general manager Rod Ferguson, in which we discussed some philosophies behind Diablo 4 and how it's just the start of a game that will continue to build up for years over multiple seasons and expansions. Do be sure to check that out, because that's going to wrap up this week's video. But do be sure to have checked out last week's video in which we discussed how Henry Cavill is spinning up a Warhammer 40k live action production. And from my family to yours, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you saw on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it. Check out these other videos and subscribe to join Riker's Raiders for more gaming content.